Hi guys, it's Miss Farragut. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on abstract art. I really like abstract art for elementary students because it's not a visual image of something that we would see in the world outside and in reality. It is more of using creative expression with shapes, lines, and texture, and I really like that it can be viewed by different people and everyone might see something completely different. So there's no wrong way to do this. Some of my favorite abstract artists are Kandinsky, and I really like Jackson Pollock's abstract expressionism. So I can't wait to share some of their work for you today just so you can get inspired. And today for our lesson, we'll need paper, pencil, and I was thinking some markers and a paintbrush and water. So if you have those materials, I would love to do some abstract art with you, to do your shapes for your image. If you want to find some circular, square, or triangular type items in your house, you could totally do that during our lesson. That way you have something to trace as a stencil. I'll probably use a few things around the house as well, and we'll start with our shapes and end with our lines and then add some color. All right, guys. Okay, so to start my lesson, I am going to put a couple of shapes on my paper using a pencil. So I've grabbed a few things from around the house. I had a tiny ruler. I don't have a big one, a 6-inch ruler. And then I grabbed these two circular items. It's just a cup and a glue stick, thinking that I could get some nice round shapes from these in different size circles. And I guess I'll just use my ruler to create squares or triangles. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add a circle, and like I said, what I love about this lesson is that there's no wrong way to do this. It is up to your creative expression to create whatever kind of abstract art you want. You don't even have to use shapes. You could do something completely different. You could just use lines if you want. I'm going to start by tracing the bottom of this cup to put a circle, and then maybe over here I'll put a smaller circle by tracing this glue stick. Maybe I put another one up here. And I'm gonna trace this so it doesn't have to be perfect. The next thing I'm gonna do is use my ruler maybe to create a triangle. 1, 2, 3 sides on a triangle. Nice. Okay, maybe I'll put a square over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides on a square. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but a square is called a quadrilateral. Can you say quadrilateral? And a quadrilateral means that it has 4 sides, but this is a special quadrilateral because all 4 sides are exactly the same length. If they weren't the same length, then it would be something else. Maybe I can do one that is different. Maybe this one has 2 inches. That way, 1 inch, 1 inch, and then connect. So what kind of shape would this be? It has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's still a quadrilateral, but it's not a square because all 4 sides are not the same length. This is a rectangle. If you said it, you got it right. It's a rectangle. And a rectangle is a quadrilateral where opposite sides are the same. So this side and this side are the same length, and this side and this side are the same length. And that's what makes it a rectangle quadrilateral. They also have other quadrilaterals, like a trapezoid. Maybe I'll add one of those in here. A trapezoid has 1 set of parallel lines. These are parallel. They're going in the same direction. They do not have to be the same length. And then I can connect. 1 set of parallel sides, whereas this shape has two sets of parallel sides. These sides are parallel, they go in the same exact direction, and these sides are parallel, they go in the same direction. So, little mini lesson in quadrilaterals and in shapes today in art class. The next thing that I'm going to do is add some lines to my picture. Now, like I told you guys, there's no wrong way to do this, so I'm just gonna draw random lines. They can cross, they cannot, but please don't draw a million lines because you are going to have to trace this at the end. And if you have all those lines that are super close together, it's gonna make it really hard for you to trace all of that in a timely manner. I know that you're gonna give up, get bored, or get frustrated. So make sure that you're thinking about how many lines you're gonna draw and is it gonna be enough for you guys to trace in a doable amount of time. I love these shapes on here. And it doesn't even have to do this. It could be like a scribble type line. I've done that before with some of my younger students. We read a book about the scribble monster and all that, and we actually did scribble lines and did color mixing for our abstract art. So it doesn't even have to be straight lines. I'm gonna add a wavy line in here. Look, whoop, a wavy line. Maybe I'll add a zigzag in here. This is gonna make this more interesting. Maybe I'll put a zigzag in one of my shapes. Who knows? I'm gonna put a zigzag in the middle of this circle. Up, down, and remember there's points on a zigzag like this. Oh, I like the way that looks, and I can do two different colors there, giving me options. Cool. Okay. Maybe I add a spiral somewhere in here. That would be really fun. I'm gonna add a spiral over here. Remember, a spiral is a line that starts small and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, or you could do it the opposite. Start big and get smaller and smaller and smaller. I like to start small, so that way I can control how big it's gonna be, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's good. Can you say spiral? Spiral. Nice. What other kind of lines could I do? Oh, I could do a looped line in here. That would be really fun. I'm gonna do a looped line going down this way. This one always reminds me of a roller coaster that's going upside down and around in a loop, 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 loop. I like that. That looks really cool. I don't want to add too much though. I still want my picture to be kind of simplistic. So I'm only going to add a few more things and then I'm going to go ahead and start adding some color with markers. We're going to use washable markers today because I'm going to actually put some water on them and that will cause the washable markers to spread. So let me add one or two more lines. Look at your paper. Are you filling up the space of your paper? I feel like right here in my picture looks a little bit empty and I want people's eyes to be drawn to the entire piece of artwork. So I'm going to think, what can I put there to change this up? I like this special line, and you guys have seen me do this before. I go over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, or you could create your own line. It could be a free form line that is more of an organic type shape that just goes and goes, which way you want it to go, or you could create your own special line or do another zigzag or wavy line. I'm gonna add another circle right here, and I'm just gonna freehand this. And I'm gonna connect right here and do another circle here and another one here. And I think I'm gonna leave it just like that. I feel like I have a lot going on here and I don't want it to be overpowering. I feel like the space of my paper is filled up and it's enough for me to trace and make it interesting. So I'm gonna stop right there. The next step is to get some markers. Now, if you don't have markers at home, you can use colored pencils. You can use something else that you have, crayons, whatever you have. But I'm gonna use markers because I wanted to show you guys this trick with washable markers and how you can use water to spread it out on your paper. I'm just gonna get a couple of colors. I definitely want my primary colors. Can you say primary? Primary. Those are blue, yellow, and red, and these are the colors that we use to make all the other colors. Then I might want to use some of my secondary colors, which is purple. If I mix blue and red together, I get purple. Okay, what other secondary color could I use? Ooh, I could use green. When I mix blue and yellow together, I get green. I like that. That's a good idea. And then the last secondary color that I could use is orange, because if I mix red and yellow together, I get the secondary color orange. That's what I'm going to use, my primary and secondary colors. You guys can use whatever you like. I just thought this would help make this lesson a little bit more interesting. If I put some of these colors together too, they might mix and make a secondary color. If I put the yellow and the blue next to each other, they could end up blending and make a green. I am going to trace over all of my lines with marker. So I'm going to kind of switch it up. I'm going to do a couple with yellow, a couple with orange, spread them out on your paper so they're not all on top of each other. If you're using a bunch of different colors, you don't want, well, you might want that one side to be one color, one side to be the other. But I'm gonna do a little bit of blending here when I go to do the water. So I'm kind of trying to move them in different areas of my paper. So I'm just using a very thick line of marker to trace over each one. And for the water trick to work, you do kind of want it to be like a thick line. You don't want it to be a skinny line, because the more ink that you have on your paper, the better it's going to spread out. So I might make each of these just a little bit thicker. Do you see that? I'm almost making it 2 lines thick. And I don't use the tip of my marker when I do this. I use the side, the angle of the marker. And I think that that makes it a little bit thicker. So go ahead, and as you're working, remember to go double up those lines, make them a little bit thicker. Obviously lighter colors like yellows, or a tint of a color like a pink, which is a tint of red, right, that has white added to it, is gonna be lighter. Yellow is gonna be lighter because they already have white mixed into those colors to make them a little bit lighter. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind when you are doing your picture, that your lighter color markers are going to come out a little bit lighter when you add the water. They might not spread as much because the ink is not as pigmented, it's not as dark. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through this while you guys do it. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so. Okay, I went over pretty much all of mine a double time. I was thinking I probably should have done some of these sections with the same color so the inside would be all the same color, but we're just gonna kind of play with this and have some fun. So now you need water and a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you could always use a Q-tip or something like that to spread out some of these colors. But essentially what I'm doing is taking my wet paintbrush and wetting the marker to wake up the ink, and as you do that, you can see that it is starting to spread out. So you have to kind of drag it in as you wake it up to shade in the different areas of your picture. And like I said, the yellow and stuff is going to be a little bit lighter, so I tried to keep that to small shapes because I know that the yellow is not going to go very far, and I am using a little bit of a thicker paper, but this will work just fine on regular paper too. You just have to wait and let it dry before you move it. Get a little bit more water. I like the way that looks. I'm gonna do my yellows. Make sure that you clean your brush too, because I know that this is not paint, but it is definitely gonna transfer onto your paintbrush as you do this, because it is acting as like an ink and you're waking up all of the pigment that was inside of those markers by adding a little bit of water. And that's why it has to be a washable marker, right? Because washable markers can be mixed and washed off with water. And so when we do this, that's pretty much what we're doing, is washing it off, but we're just using it to paint. So I'm gonna do a little bit in the middle with this one with the orange. I wish I would have done 2 primary colors here, because we could have seen a little bit of mixing. But now I'm gonna clean my brush and be very careful and then bring some of this paint. I have to be careful not to mix too many secondary colors because I don't want a neutral brown or gray, which is what happens when you mix some secondary colors here. And I'm not looking for a brown. Now you might like that. I definitely don't want you to just take a paintbrush or water or whatever and just spread it across your entire paper either. I want you guys to be careful in thinking about how you want to paint these and where you want the color to go. Be purposeful about thinking about where you want that water and that color to go on your picture. This looks really cool. Oh, look at that. It's like adding texture. Some of the darker pigments right there. I love that. I'm gonna be very cautious with this one. I'm just gonna do a little bit because I still want to be able to see that pretty spiral dark. Isn't this such a cool trick to do this with washable markers? And I know sometimes we talk about not having materials at your house because not everybody's gonna have the same things, but this is just giving you another opportunity if you don't have paints at home to get washable markers. That might be a little bit cheaper, or it's just something that you already have, and to be able to kind of paint with markers. Definitely a cool concept if you don't have paints at your house. You could just use this little trick. I'm gonna stick to my green areas. Gotta wake it up, and these markers are spreading really, really well. I'll have to look and see what brand that was. If it's ever too light, guys, just go back to your color and wet it and then spread it out. You gotta get the ink. It's not gonna be magic and turn colors unless you're going over that ink and waking it up and then spreading it out. I know we did a couple of Jackson Pollock pictures in class last year where we did splatter painting, which was really, really fun. That's why he's one of my favorites, because that's always a lot of fun for you guys to get a little messy, right? And that the fun part about art, getting a little messy sometimes and having a little fun. It's one of my favorite things. Messes are definitely gonna happen. So I'm definitely watching my son when he does his artwork, because it gets really, really messy. So definitely make sure that if you're using paints or anything like that at home, that you are, I might leave this part white, asking your parents and showing them what you're doing before you do it, or doing it in a place where if you do make a mess, it's easily wiped up. Bring this red this way. Oh, it mixed with that blue, it's making a purple color. Wow. Yeah, I like abstract art because it's forgiving. There's no wrong way to do it. Oh, I love how this blue is mixing with the red pigment here. And there's no wrong way to do it. Like, I did shapes and lines and stuff, but that doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. You could do something completely different and use your creativity to create something special. And I love looking at different types of art, so make sure that you send me some to my school email. I would love to see it if you're a Miro B. Don't forget to send it to me. Look, I'm waking up some of this blue and then bringing it over here, guys, because I didn't outline over here. Just grabbing and pulling it over here, and it's mixing with this red, and that's totally fine. Once this dries, you could always go back over it and touch it up too. Clean that up a little bit. Definitely a neat trick. And you could even, guys, not even paint this whole section and just come up with designs if you want. And drag it wherever you'd like. It does give it a sense of texture. Oh, I like how it blends when you put it next to the other colors and it gets wet. I'm gonna do that over here with this blue. I'm gonna drag it. Guys, I think that that's it for my picture. You can always play with this a little bit. And if you chose to use primary colors only, you would see a lot of color mixing on your paper, which would be super cool and super unique. I can't wait to see what some of you guys have come up with. All right, guys, I hope that you had fun with our lesson today. I love talking about abstract art, and I can't wait to see what some of you guys have come up with. I like that everyone's artwork is going to look completely different and it's not uniform, and that you have your own way to do artistic expression. Make sure that you send those to me on my Miro email. At my Miro email, if you guys are Miro Bees, please send them to me. It makes my day when I get to see those pictures, and I hope that you guys know how much I miss you, and I can't wait till we all get to be together again. All right, guys. Bye.